Hi, everyone. My name's David. Welcome to our E2 language PTE writing session. It's great to have you here. Of course, now everybody's from another part of the world. So I'm here in Melbourne, in Australia. It's currently 7 o'clock in the evening. Can you write in and say where you are? So if you're able to use the chat on your phone or on your device where you are, can you type in where you are in the world? And you will be amazed about the number of people that are studying for tests, but also the location of where they are. We get people from everywhere. Fantastic. From Malaysia, we get people. We're going to find out who's in the room. Brazil, awesome. Australia. Hopefully you can read as well. You can see what's in your chat as well. So typing in where you are in the world. What's quite interesting is what time it is as well. So it's 7 p.m. in Melbourne. And often we get people in our classes who are studying right around the clock. You know, there's no set times that people don't study. People study at 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning, or studying at 7 at night or 4 in the afternoon. We've got Darwin, India, Brisbane, Brazil, Malaysia, Nigeria, which helps us understand there's a large community of learners, a global community of learners studying, in this case for our PTE, our Pearson Test of English Academic Test. And in this session this evening in Melbourne, but it will be a different time for you, we are going to focus on the writing tasks. So we're going to be looking at PTE writing. So that means the summarized written text task and also the write essay task. So we'll just wait for just a few more seconds while people come into the room. Yeah, 2:30 p.m. in India, which is a fabulous time to be studying. Yep, we've got another group of students from Indonesia. Ireland, hooray for Ireland. Awesome. We're going to make a start because I know you guys are busy and you want to learn as much as you can in a short amount of time. So we'll talk our way through slides on the screen. I need you to say that you can hear me and you can see me. So know that our tech is working. Our live stream tech is working. Type yes or no in the chat box that you're able to see, able to hear. Now, the chat box is used to answer questions, to respond to what's on the screen, and also to ask any questions that you may have about the test, about writing, or about the PTE test in general that I might be able to help you with. I'm more than happy to share the knowledge that I've got with you. I've been teaching this now for maybe 10 years, and I really enjoy teaching it because what you will learn, you will take with you beyond the test. So we're going to talk about writing skills you will take with you through the test and beyond the test. And remember, you're aiming for the highest mark possible. So you're aiming for 90. You are aiming for the highest mark you can. You might think I only need 60, but you're aiming for the top mark and then achieving what you do achieve on the day, in the time that you take the test. Remember to do practice tasks and also get assessments. So the idea with writing is to develop the skills and to practice, familiarity and practice. Learn the method, practice method, get feedback. We also say the feedback is really important because it's very difficult to judge your own writing, judge your own grammar, judge your own vocabulary. So it's better to get the response from experts who have been marking thousands of PTE test papers for the last numbers of years. So we've got a fantastic bunch of markers who will give you a feedback on your assessment that will inspire you to do even better. So do the practice tasks and then get the assessment feedback. Practice all the skills: listening, writing, reading, and speaking. Develop your skills over the time that you're with us. Concentrate on setting time aside to develop those skills and to get feedback when you can. After doing about 50% of the course, try doing a mock test, and that's a test of the whole PTE test. So it enables you to practice each of the methods that you've learned for each of the tasks across speaking, writing, reading, and listening. Check your Zoom is configured appropriately. Today we're going to look at methods, do some grammar. Grammar is essential for writing, obviously for speaking, but for writing we can see all the grammar, the good and the bad. So we're going to focus on some grammar tasks as well in order to write accurate, grammatically correct sentences is what we're desiring to do. That's our goal. Yep. We're going to look at today's essay, and we're going to focus on the introduction, and this class should take about 60 to 70 minutes. In the test now, which changed at the beginning of August, but remained the same for some of the tasks, we do 2 summarized writing tasks and 1 write essay. The summarized written text takes 10 minutes. The write essay takes 20 minutes. What you need to do during those sessions is to realize that if you save time in these tasks and finish the tasks early and enter, you don't get the time back in the rest of the test. Also, you have to monitor the speed at which you're working in order to complete the task in 10 minutes for summarized written text and 20 minutes for write essay, and by having a method that you know is going to work for you. So at the end of the 10 minutes, you'll time out, literally you will move on, will be moved on to the next task. And for the same for the essay, you will be moved on to the next task on your screen. So be aware of that. During this class, you'll be practicing self-correction, which I'll help you with, which is important. You've got to plan, write, and revise. And in revising, you're going to correct errors. And it's an essential part of the process in order to boost your score. And you get good at that as well. Cool. Otherwise, you need to attend a tutorial or get feedback from submitting your assessment tasks for feedback. All right, so that's the numbers. Now we're going to start moving through. Grab a pen and paper, and we're going to start with the first task of the 2 writing tasks, summarize written text. And that instruction, that task title is the instruction. You are going to summarize a written text. Now, that's what it will look like. Now, I'm looking at another screen over here too. It's the same information. What you are going to see is the task in front of you on test day and in all the practice tasks as well. The instruction will remain the same. And the length of the task to summarize will remain roughly the same. Down here, you'll have space to write, and you'll be told how much time you've got and what your word count is. Now, it is possible to copy and paste into here, but we're going to develop a method or teach a method that doesn't involve doing that, because it means you will master sentence structure. So first part of the method, speed read the text for keywords and main ideas. So speed read is skimming over it, taking a general view to recognize what words are repeated. Yep, what phrases do you recognize? And at the end of about 15 or 20 seconds, you'll have a very good idea about what the text is about. You'll recognize the keywords, the repeated words in the text, the words that carry meaning, the content words, the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, and the adverbs, and you'll recognize what the text is about. Now, that's what we need to do. So we're familiar before we start doing deep reading as to what the focus of the text is. Then we deep read and take notes. And note taking is an amazing skill that we all develop and get good at. It's essential that we do it. So when we deep read, we're going to take information from the beginning, information from the middle, and information from the end. And that information we're going to put into our sentence, our single sentence that will summarize the main ideas of the text. We take ideas from the beginning because that's where the ideas are introduced. We take ideas from the middle because that's where the ideas are developed. And we take ideas from the end because you generally have a summary of events that happens at the end as well. While writing, when you write out your sentence, make sure that you use grammar and vocabulary you are confident with. So don't make stuff up. Don't invent words. The other idea that we're going to sound impressive if I use this phrase that I've memorized from somewhere else, because what will happen is it won't register as an accurate or authentic summary of the text in front of you. Remember, you're not adding your own ideas. You might paraphrase or use synonyms, but what we're doing is summarizing the writing of this writer or the ideas and thoughts of this writer in front of us. Yep. We don't need to introduce our own knowledge of the subject, and we don't need to choose phrases from elsewhere outside of this text. So don't include your own ideas, just summarize this writer's ideas. Don't include background information. It's unnecessary. In fact, it's irrelevant. And try not to copy more than 3 words in a row. So that method enables you to use vocabulary you already know. So vocabulary includes synonyms or ways of paraphrasing, meaning saying even more by choosing different words, making appropriate word choice to reflect the meaning of the text in front of you. So you are going to become expert at summarizing and paraphrasing another writer's ideas. You'll be marked on content, form, grammar, and vocabulary, marked for reading and writing. It will contribute to both of those tests or tasks, parts of the test. Then we're going to write a single sentence of 30 to 40 words, which will mean your sentence will be 3 to 4 parts. Now, the rule actually is that you can write 5 to 75 words. But we know from experience that if you write 30 to 40 words, you will summarize the main ideas of the text, and you won't make as many mistakes as you might if you write up to 75 words. So you can master a summary in 30 to 40 words, writing a sentence of 3 to 4 parts. And we're going to look at how to do that in this test. In this lesson, and then in the test as well. Great. So the goal is 30 to 40 words, 3 to 4 main ideas, beginning, middle, and end, and a sentence of 3 to 4 parts, including those main ideas. Now, when we say note-taking, we really do mean write the ideas down. So on test day, you will have a pad in front of you, and you'll have a pen as well. It's known as an erasable pad, and you'll be writing down words from the text. And then once you've written those words down, literally copied them from the text, you're then going to change those words by using your own vocabulary and create your own sentence of 3 to 4 parts, summarizing those, using those main ideas to summarize the main ideas of the text. Yep, that's why we take the notes from the text, then we're going to change them around and create your own sentence summary. You're going to use synonyms. Now, that means words that mean the same thing. And you're going to get very good at finding ways of saying the same thing using your own word choice, because that reflects your knowledge of vocabulary and gives you a chance to process the information and reflect an understanding through your own comprehension, in the sense that you understand what you read and you're able to use your own words to say what the writer said. So you create words or write a sentence of equivalent meaning to what you read. We're going to use pronouns, meaning we're not going to repeat words or nouns. We're going to use pronouns, which are words that stand for nouns in the sentence. So if we mention the word astronaut, if the astronaut is a male, we're going to refer to the astronaut as he, or if it's a female, we'll recognize the astronaut as she. Or if we have the word lunar module, for example, we'll refer to that as it. So don't repeat words in your sentence. In fact, find ways of referencing words that we use early in the sentence through the use of pronouns. They for plural, he, she, it for singular, either gendered objects or non-gendered objects. Conjunctions we're going to master as well. So we're going to write a sentence that's going to be a compound and possibly a compound complex sentence, which means we're going to need to join clauses together using conjunctions or joining words, such as so, and, also, after, before, because, yet, however, but, although, while, where, or use a comma. So it's a very good idea to attend the other live classes at E2 Language on grammar and sentence structure in order to become familiar with how you master all words on the sentence. Cool. Tell about the structure of the essay. Perfect. We're going to move on to that. We will, but we're focusing on summarized written text first, and then we're going to do write essay in the second half of this session. Perfect. Relative clauses. We're just going to talk briefly about sentence structure, subject, relative clause, which means that we use a relative pronoun, who, which, or that, which adds information to the subject, and then the rest of sentence. So there's a sentence of 3 parts that includes the subject, a relative clause, and the rest of sentence. Essay structure, we absolutely will cover in this session, but we're going to focus on summarized written text first. So let's get started. Can you find suitable synonyms or words that you know to replace these words? And what would be the pronoun that would replace them as well? So just in 45 seconds into the chat box, writing what it is that you know are synonyms for these words. So quickly as possible, using the language that you know. What's another way of saying solar cells? What's another way of saying during winter and summer? What's another way of saying procedures? So in the chat box, typing away if possible. I'm going to show you some answers in a moment. So just another 20 seconds. The talking watch. All right, let's have a look at some answers. Yep. So things that we might come up with are words like this. Solar cells, if we're going to repeat that, we'll use a plural pronoun they. Placed under, inserted, below, generate enough power, create sufficient electricity during winter and summer throughout the year. To power, provide energy for, and procedures, we would refer to them as the plural pronoun. Okay, so we find ways of saying the same thing in our own words. Beautiful. All right, now we're going to take a look at what we do with conjunctions. So we're asked to create a single sentence, remember, of 30 to 40 words, 3 to 4 parts. We've got 3 statements here. Can I ask you in 90 seconds to join those sentences together into a single sentence using conjunctions? All right, so typing away or writing down on a pad in front of you or typing out into the chat box a way of joining these ideas together to create one single sentence. Because remember, that's the object of summarized written text, to write a single sentence of 3 to 4 parts. All right. Yep. Perhaps another, I think it looks like we've got another 45 seconds. I'll show you some answers in a moment, so you will know whether you've thought it through in the that we can reflect you've thought it through in the way that makes sense to you. Yep, another 20 seconds. All right, now we're always working to a clock when we're in test conditions. When we're practicing, we can do without the clock. But when we're practicing for test conditions, we learn to like the clock. It tells us to speed up and stay focused. Okay, so solar cells are efficient because batteries don't need to be replaced and the devices can be placed under the skin where they generate enough power year-round to power a typical pacemaker. A single sentence of 3 to 4 parts. Another way of saying the same thing, we've left solar cells as the subject. Solar cells can generate enough power for a typical pacemaker year-round from their location under the skin, and this makes them efficient because they don't need to be replaced. Now, that task we've done in a very short period of time to see how we can combine 3 completely separate ideas into a logical sequence within one single sentence. Yep, using conjunctions, pronouns, and synonyms. Okay, let's rattle on and keep going. Let's work out how to use a relative clause. So a relative clause means that we're going to relate information about the subject, and I'm going to give you an example here. And this is the level of mastery you will learn and be able to reproduce. So solar cells, yep, which reduce the need for expensive and stressful procedures. We've got a relative pronoun introducing a relative clause giving information related to the subject, and we've used commas. So solar cells, subject, which reduce the need for expensive and stressful procedures. Rest of sentence, can be inserted under the skin where they generate enough power year-round for a typical pacemaker. So 1, 2, 3, 4 sentence parts. A single sentence, grammatically correct single sentence of 3 to 4 parts. Here's another one. Solar cells, subject, relative clause, introduced by relative pronoun which can be inserted under the skin, reduce expense, and can generate enough power throughout the year for a typical pacemaker. Cool. So 1, 2, 3, conjunction, 4 sentence parts. So that's our introduction to the relative clause. And please attend the live classes to practice writing single sentences, but take away as much information from this session as you can to enable you to write a single sentence of 3 to 4 parts in summarized written text. Okay, so we're going to I'm going to freeze the, what I suggest you do is you review this as a video and stop at this point to practice writing your sentence. Yep, we won't stop now. We will crack on because I know you want to get onto the essay part as well, but there's a practice task for you to do after the session if you want to practice it. Now, there's the whole task script there. Now, remember the method? The method is, there's the instruction to read the passage and summarize in one sentence. Skim read to get an idea. Deep read, take notes from beginning, middle, and end. So 3 useful phrases or chunks of information, and then we're going to write those chunks of information into a single sentence. Now, what I'm going to suggest we do is not pause to do this task, but to come back to this as a video afterwards if you choose to practice this task. The important part is we're making you familiar with the method that you'll use to complete this task. So the first bit would be to skim read to get an idea of what the text is about. Then deep read and take notes, and then write a sentence all in 10 minutes or under 10 minutes. To start the process, I'm going to ask you to skim read this passage, and in the chat box or in the text box, write what you think this text is about. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds to skim read the passage and type in the chat box what the text is about. Are you ready? Go. Beautiful. So we've got an idea about what the text is about in about 30 seconds. It's after that you deep read, take notes, use the notes to write the sentence. Cool. So we're going to crack on, and you can come back to that after to watch this video again. Fast forward through it, should you choose to, and then do the task. So what we do is deep read, take notes. We can see on the screen in front of us the main ideas, the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, and the adverbs, the key ideas in the text that the writer wants us to understand. We then start drafting from those notes that we took our single sentence. We begin to build our sentence. We add another idea. So we're compounding our ideas, but we want to get our sentence structure right. And we want to, for this task, write a single sentence of 3 to 4 parts: subject, relative clause, rest of sentence. We end up writing a sentence that looks like this: subject, relative clause, rest of sentence, single grammatically correct sentence of 30 to 40 words summarizing the main ideas of the text. We get it? Great. If you get it, put a thumbs up in the chat box, yeah? So give an emoji in the chat box if you can. I'm not sure you can do that, but if you can do it, is to give us a thumbs up so you've got an understanding of what the task involves. Single grammatically correct sentence of 3 to 4 parts, 30 to 40 words, summarizing the main ideas of the text in under 10 minutes. Yep. Indicate to yourself, indicate to the others that you know what the task involves and how you might go about achieving it. All good? Okay, happy days. Summarize written text. Now, you can pause this in the video afterwards and do that task, and also practice from the platform. So, summarizing, skim reading, taking notes, writing a sentence, and then checking the sentence for errors. And we'll learn how to do that in the writing part, in the write essay part of this class as well. So the first criteria are content, for which you will be marked; form, writing a single sentence. We say 30 to 40 words. You're allowed to write up to 75. Your grammatical structures are correct and your vocabulary is appropriate and reflects an understanding of the ability to use synonyms and paraphrase. Yep, awesome. So that's how to score 90 in summarized written text. Yep, always be aware of where you're up to and what you need to do to improve. All good? Write essay, the big one. Okay, this is the one we all want to learn how to do really well long term. So when we say error correction, plan, write, and review, meaning to correct ourselves by looking at what we've done and registering where there are errors if possible, we use this chart here because this chart is a list of all the errors writers make. So there's a limited number, 14 of them, but they are the errors that we all make: subject-verb agreement, Single subject, single verb, plural subject, plural verb. Single and plural nouns. Does it have an S, or is that a word that implies has a plural, requires a plural verb as well? So table, tables, chair, chairs, sunshine. Sunshine? There's an abstract noun that will only take a single verb because sunshine is treated as a singular unit and uncountable. Articles are and the or zero articles. Verb tenses, past, present, and future. Prepositions, in, on, at, by, with, from, to. Incomplete sentence. Bits of the sentence weren't there, so we couldn't make sense of what was meant. Wrong word, meaning word choice can be changed when we edit after we've written. Yep, making sure it's appropriate in that context. Collocations we get very good at, what words go together, what phrases we can use. If we miss words out, then we need to add them back in. Too many words, redundancy, words that weren't necessary, they didn't add to the meaning, and they in fact were repetition or repetitious. Yep, punctuation, which we get very good at, and spelling. So it's worthwhile knowing that they are all the mistakes we will make. Yep, and we just get good at not making them. That's how we improve to get 90 in this task. For example, here we've got many industries damage the environment and might affect the lives of the trees there or disturb the inhabit of some animals. Now, we recognize that as not making sense. Yep. If we look at what those errors are, we can match them to our list. And that will happen with your writing and sometimes with my writing too. I have to match it to the list of errors that I probably did make. And then we end up changing those errors or correcting them so that we have a grammatically correct sentence, well punctuated with accurate spelling. All good? So that's what it looks like to correct errors, is to recognize them from the list and then to go about and correct them. Now, when you submit your writing for assessment, that's what the markers will do as well, is they'll identify your errors and let you know where you need to improve, what grammar you need to further study, and how to go about writing error-free sentences. All right, let's look at vocabulary. So we've got a list of words here. Can you think of some synonyms or words of equivalent meaning? So can you think of another word for artists? Can you think of another word for earn? Can you think of a word that means the same thing as social welfare? So you're going to use your latent or sleeping vocabulary to replace those words with words of your choice. So in the chat box, just for 30 seconds, writing what you think might be words to replace those words on the screen. In other words, words of same or similar meaning. I'll try and think of something too. Yep, great. So we've got some ideas of our own, yeah? And those ideas are the words that you will choose to replace the words, creative people from the writer. Creative people, low income, meager income. I put underpay or low pay. Get income support from the government. Be supported in their endeavors. Persist. Yep. So it's thinking along similar lines. Awesome. Now, what we then do is what we can do is top up our vocabulary by looking at and studying lists of vocabulary, which are on the website. So if you download the vocabulary kits, what you can do is develop your language level by studying those words and then using them on test day, and also continuing to use them when it's appropriate to use academic vocabulary in your study. So there we've got a bunch of words there, really useful because they are explicit, they explain information directly, and they're a way of paraphrasing simple words, in order to boost their impact and create effective meaning. All good? Okay, so that's our vocabulary list. We're going to do a quick quiz. Can you match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the words on the right that we can't see? So, tirelessly, mediocre, pursue, meager, and poverty end up matching these words here. So tirelessly, by tirelessly we mean without rest. Mediocre, we mean ordinary. Pursue means to follow. Meager, small or inadequate. Poverty line, a point at which someone has less money than they need to live. Great. So we're matching words with meaning and we're using them where appropriate. Cool. All righty. So let's crack on with what we asked for before, which is the essay method. So the method is this, and something you will take with you into the future, as well as being able to perfect for test day. Read the prompt carefully. And by that, we mean identify the keywords in the prompt. The job is to answer the question in your essay. So we need to understand what we're being asked, and then we need to respond. So we look for the main ideas in the prompt. We either underline them or we write them down. Then we plan an argument for both sides. So planning is essential. Cool, good work in the chat box there. Planning is essential to write an essay. You cannot write an effective essay without planning for it. And we're going to talk about the structure, which somebody asked for earlier on, because with knowing the structure, we're able then to add our content into the structure for which we plan. So we plan to put our content into the structure. We're going to develop an argument for both sides, because in PTE, about 98% of the prompts are argumentative. It's an argumentative essay, meaning some people think this and some people think that. And in that case, we're going to have an opinion of which group of people we agree more with, but we're going to demonstrate our understanding of both groups of people's thinking. And we're going to introduce where we stand in relation to both groups in the introduction. And in the conclusion, we're going to summarize on which group of people we agree more with. We're going to plan, write, and revise. In writing, we're going to plan for 2 minutes, write for 16, and then revise for 2. We're going to manage our 20 minutes. 20 minutes goes very quickly. So we need to know right at the start of the task what we're going to do in order to get the highest mark we possibly can, as close to 90 as possible, in this task. We're going to check we're on topic, check we're accurate. We use a variety of vocabulary. We check that our grammar is accurate all the way through as we're writing. Now, one good thing to know is we're going to try to keep writing. We're not going to go back and examine and see what we can do. We're going to try to write and get to the end. Then we're going to go back and review. Otherwise, we won't get to the end. So remember, we're going to plan for 2 minutes, write for 16, review for 2. We've got to keep writing. We can't just check what we thought we said was good enough. We've got to assume it was okay, and we're going to keep going. You're going to be marked on what you say, the content, the structure, which we'll look at in a minute, the development of ideas, like how do we sequence ideas, join ideas together, present an idea and develop it. Your linguistic range, your ability to express accurately your thoughts, your vocabulary, so word choice is specific and appropriate, and spelling is accurate as well. There will only be one of these questions in the current test format, and you will spend full 20 minutes on it. Yeah, don't imagine you can finish in 17 and move on. Just stay until 20 minutes until you've done the best you possibly can. Today's prompt, and then we go. So the instructions are, you'll have 20 minutes to plan, write, and revise an essay on the topic below. Your response will be judged on how well you develop a position. The position is your opinion and how you develop it in your essay. You're going to organize your ideas into paragraphs. You're going to present supporting details. And then you're going to control the elements of standard English, which is your spelling, grammar, punctuation, word choice. And you will write using our structure of 200 to 300 words. So here's the prompt. We're going to understand what are the key words in the prompt before we even attempt to write the essay. We have to understand what we're being asked. The prompt is our instruction. It tells us what to do. So most artists earn low salaries and should therefore receive social welfare, low salaries from governments in order for them to continue their work. So we've already got low salaries, social welfare from government, continue their work. Discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with this statement. Support your point of view with reasons and or examples from your own experiences or observations. Now, that does mean your own experiences. So we don't have to imagine that we've read the encyclopedia or 4 newspapers or 8 published journal articles. We're just going to go on what you know from life experience. And we're going to work out how we present those ideas in this structure, which we've asked for. Now, this structure, we're going to memorize. Not a template or a pre-written essay, which some people think is a good idea. It doesn't really work that way. So instead, what you can remember is how to present your ideas. In this structure, Introduction, body 1, body 2, and conclusion. Introduction, 3 sentences. Body 1, 4 sentences. Body 2, 4 sentences. Conclusion, 2 sentences. How does that work? Well, in the introduction, we're going to generally talk about artists have been around for centuries. We love their work and we need them to contribute to society. Something general about artists. Some people think that they should be paid welfare while others think they shouldn't. We rephrase the keywords from the question. Then we tell the reader our main idea of body 1 and body 2 in our opinion. Now, to get there, what we will have done is in our planning phase, we recognize this is the structure we're going to use. In our planning phase, we're going to come up with a main idea about why they should be paid welfare. In our one paragraph, in our second paragraph, we're going to argue why they shouldn't be, why we would disagree that they would be paid by the government. Then we're going to support why they should and find an example. Then we're going to support why they shouldn't and an example. And then in our conclusion, we're going to say why they should and shouldn't be paid welfare and what you think they should really, what should really happen. So, and we might end up saying that while artists are expensive and cost the government a lot of money, they also contribute to society. So in my opinion, artists should be paid in order to continue to do their work. So we state our opinion and then we summarize our main ideas. So before we've written our essay, we know in advance what we're going to write because we know what the structure is. And we've also planned our key phrases that we're going to put that reflect our opinion and the key phrases that we're going to use in our paragraph structure where we have a single main idea per paragraph and a support idea and an example. So in that 2 minutes before the 16, we've literally written down what we are going to say in our essay. Makes sense, yeah? Introduction, body 1, body 2, conclusion, opinion, topic 1, support statement, example, topic 2, support statement, example, and then the conclusion will write itself because you know what you have planned to say. Awesome. Once you master that, which you will do, you will write excellent essays. You're going to put your content into the structure. You're going to write 4 paragraphs, an introduction, a body 1, a body 2, and conclusion. You're going to structure each paragraph with sentences that have a purpose. So introduction, restate the question, introduce the idea, restate the question, tell the reader what you're going to tell them, express your opinion in that sentence. Each body paragraph for PTE, TEEL, topic, explanation, example, link, topic, explanation, example, link, TEEL, and in conclusion, restate your 2 main ideas and summarize your opinion. Excellent, yeah? Now, makes it a lot clearer, saves all the worry of what am I going to say in the middle of my essay when you know before you've started writing that you've got a plan and you've got your main ideas for your essay. All good? Then you just have to repeat until you get very good at it. And I recommend you write about 6 essays before you can feel confident that you've mastered the structure in response to the key ideas in the question, and you've answered the question. And what you will also do is have a persuasive, well-developed series of ideas where the reader will agree with you and may even have their own opinion changed by what you say in the essay. That's how powerful this little unit of writing is that you will persuade the reader what you think. It's not just a grammatical task where we use vocabulary and grammar. It really is to express your ideas clearly so that the reader is persuaded to agree with you. And most often they will. Yep. Awesome. So let's get good at it. How do you do that? Well, you have to practice. So you're going to practice self-correction. Yep. And you're going to get good at plan writing and revising. So when we plan, what we look at is phrases that we're going to use to respond to the keywords in the prompt. We identify the keywords and then we start to plan our introduction. We start to plan our main idea for paragraph 1, our main idea for paragraph 2, some support ideas and some examples. And in conclusion, the conclusion will write itself because by the time you get to the end of the essay, you know what you've said. It's just that you need to know what you're going to say before you write the essay. The worst thing to do is to not plan and find you can't think of anything in the middle of the essay, repeat yourself and run out of time. And you'll learn that if you don't plan, that is what will happen. Beautiful. So you know where you're going right from the start, yeah? The key is planning. It really is. The key to it all is planning. So we won't write your plan now, but you're most welcome to pause this when you re-watch the video and do this task, or practice from the platform and get feedback. Yep. So let's look at a sample introduction. Here's the structure. Remember, introduction, body 1, body 2, conclusion. The first of the 4 paragraphs, the introduction. Sentence 1, broad and neutral background statement. It is well known that artists often struggle financially to support their artistic pursuits. It's neither saying that that's bad or good. It's just saying that that is what is. Rewrite the question. Many people believe that it is a government responsibility to support them, while others believe that artists should find their own means of support. So we've got both sides of the argument expressed in that single sentence. Rewriting the key words from the prompt. Then we tell the reader what you will tell them. You must have an opinion. If you don't, your essay will be weak and we won't follow the development of ideas. We'll just have some sort of vague descriptions without a commitment. So the first hurdle to get over is recognizing you need to have an opinion and then working out how to express it strongly. And you'll learn to do that through practice, familiarity and practice, if you're not doing it at the moment. Yep, right. This essay will discuss why governments should not support all applicants, but need to be judicious in who they support and only finance truly dedicated artists. So this essay is going to suggest that not all artists are worthy of government support. Yep. So in our conclusion, we're going to find that we agree with this third sentence in the introduction, our thesis statement, the most important sentence in the essay, the one that tells the reader what we believe. Yep, now we're going to guide the reader through the arguments that will lead to a conclusion that suggests that we should only finance truly dedicated artists and not all artists. Yep, so in that third sentence, we've made a claim, an opinion. We've expressed our own idea. Great. Now, again, watching the video, pausing at the video will enable you to practice writing this introduction structure to the essay prompt. Now, remember what you will have done is planned out what your opinion is before you write this. You will know what your argument in paragraph 1 is, your argument in paragraph 2 is, so you can boldly assert your opinion before you start writing your body paragraphs based on your planning. All good? All right. So how do we develop that? Well, you end up writing an essay that looks like this. You have an introduction, introducing your ideas. Then we have an argument in favor of that describes artists and their need for money. This one, we're going to talk about artists who contribute to society and are inspirational. And then we're going to summarize that all sorts of people are artists, but perhaps we should only be responsible for supporting those who are at a high level, who are likely to contribute to transforming society for the better. Yep. Okay. So that's how we end up presenting your ideas in a logical structure of 4 paragraphs: introduction, body 1, body 2, and conclusion. Each paragraph has its own structure: TWL, introduction and conclusion, summarizing and supporting what it is that we said our opinion was in our introduction. Okay. So if that makes sense to you, fantastic, because that is the idea, is that we understand what is an essay. And as somebody asked, what is the structure of an essay? How do I write an essay? What do I need to do? So the marker will look at what you wrote and recognize, did you write an introduction of 3 sentences? 3 is enough, because in 20 minutes, we don't really have time to keep writing longer paragraphs. That's why we choose this structure. Did you write an introduction? Do you have an opinion? Did you structure your paragraph with a main idea, a support statement, an example that exemplifies or it supports your support statement, gives a picture for the reader to imagine, and then with a summary or a link sentence, summarizes the main meaning of your paragraph and either links it back to the question, links it back to the first sentence in your paragraph, or links it to the next paragraph. T, topic, E, explanation, E, example, L, link. And then the second body paragraph takes the opposite view from the first body paragraph, develops that with a statement from you, an explanation of that statement, an example that supports that, and then a link back to the topic sentence or back to the prompt. And that's it, because you can't really link to the conclusion. Then you conclude two main ideas and a summary of your opinion. What is excellent to do too is to put the idea that you agree most with second. So introduction, opposite idea to you, an idea that you agree with, closer to the conclusion, because the reader then reads a conclusion closer to the paragraph that you feel most strongly about. Yep, makes sense too, yeah? So introduction, body one, body two, conclusion. Make sure that when you review it, you checked for all your errors. And we'll look at that in a moment. But we're also going to remind ourselves that we've answered the question, that all the keywords have been either directly addressed or used in the essay, or you've used synonyms or paraphrased them. Yep. That means you can confirm that you've answered the question. Awesome. Okay, you will have fun doing this, because the more you do it, the better you get at it. Most people hate it to start with. They hate it. It's a form of torture. And then you master it and you become very good at it long term. Great. So many verbs are present simple, yep, when we're stating facts, and talk about things that are often or generally true. Yep, but there are other ways of measuring that as well. So modal verbs are used to demonstrate a variety of grammatical range as well. And they show possibility, obligation, and ability. When used correctly, they indicate a strong control of precise meaning, which is what's being looked for in the rubric. Yeah, cool. We might also make suggestions about possible futures. So we master our verb tenses, past, present, and future, and modals, simple, perfect, continuous, perfect continuous, and modals. Yep. Well, now, what are we going to be judged on? Content, words that we use, how we express them, form, 200 to 300 words, development and structure, organization of ideas that develop through paragraph structure, general linguistic range of vocabulary and spelling, and grammar, which is why we keep studying it. It's not horrible. It's fantastic when you get to use what it is that you know and be tested and score well. Yep. So how does it work? Well, if you, let's get the clock to work again. How does that work? Well, if you score out of 22, for example, you would, it's not going to tell us. Okay. What you're aiming for is generally 90, 79, 65, or 50 for the purpose for which you're taking the PTE. But really you're aiming for 90 in order to achieve that result. Yeah. Now, if you didn't get a top score in your essay, you've got to look at what it is that you didn't do and what you need to do. So were you off topic? Did you not answer the question? Did you lack enough vocabulary and repeated yourself? Yep. Or didn't use a vocabulary that enabled you to express your ideas as clearly as you wanted? Did you not use linking words, sequencing ideas? Yep. If you didn't understand what you were supposed to do, you need to go back, review what the instructions are, what the method is, and then practice. So learn the method, practice the method, get feedback, develop your arguments in each body paragraph, topic, explanation, example, link in the essay. If you've got problems with grammar, verb tenses, articles, plurals, and others, make sure that you, make sure that you are mastering what it is that you're not currently doing. So you're on a constant stage of improvement. So it's very soon, today you're good, tomorrow you're better, the next day you're going to get even better again. By next week, you understand what you did last week in order to do what it is that you do better than you did before. And we know that's the logical stages of learning. Then when we go to sleep, we wake up processing what it is we did during the day, so that next time we do it, we've got a better understanding of what we did last time. Yep. Spelling, timing, and understanding the structure. All right. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat box. But what I really suggest we do is write your questions, because we're always keen to answer them here, is practice and get feedback, practice all the skills, take a mock test, register and join our live classes often, either attending the live classes or watching recordings of the live classes, fast forwarding through to the bit that you need to know about and getting stuck in and doing and focusing on that. So set time aside to study. Take a mock test in order to get a grade that enables you to know where you are on the scale of things and how much work you need to do or how well you have prepared. And invest in yourself by upgrading to a package that enables you to take the mock tests, get teacher feedback on your speaking and writing, attend the live classes, booking in one-to-one tutorials to go over the material you're not confident with so that you can be and be talked through and coached through by a highly experienced teacher. And also enjoy the pleasure of joining in the small group classes. The cost is less, but the material is the same, and you have other people to interact with in that class. I believe there's a group class coming up shortly. So if you were to sign up and you were to enroll in that live class, you'd have a chance to practice those skills in that live class, which is coming up shortly after this stream. Okay, one-to-one tutorials are a fantastic way. They're 45 minutes long to learn. 45 minutes long. I often turn up in them. Anna turns up in them. Our experienced teachers who are located around the globe are available for you at times that will suit you. You'll get comprehensive feedback, and you'll also have a chance to iron out those things you're uncertain about. The group class coming up, highly recommended. They are, as you've seen Anna before, and you will participate in a relatively inexpensive form of learning. So I believe that's it. Okay, thanks for attending. Thanks for hanging in there. Hopefully you became familiar with the methods that we use here, and they are the methods that will get you the score you want in PTE. So thanks for joining, and I look forward to seeing you in the next class. Any questions, please type them in the chat box. Otherwise, feel free. Oh, cool. We've got one. Scoring 2024 essay, is it good for Superior? Yeah, so let's go back. Let's go back and talk about scoring slightly. Yeah, here. So you're going to be marked on these areas. Yep. Now and you would objectify what you might earn, but what it really means is that 22 would have got you a very high score. Yep. 18 would get you closer to one of these scores that are related to your visa needs. Yep. Or your, that's 50 for PTE. Often nurses need a 50 in Australia, 65 or 79 or closer to a 90. So the higher you go, the better structured your essay, the more precise your vocabulary and grammar, the higher the score will be. You want to learn all the modules of PTE in 20 days, and I don't know anything about this exam. I want to learn everything from the very beginning. Now, that's a fantastic ambition. What I really recommend you do on the PTE website, thank you for being with us, and we have enough confidence that we're going to get you, give you what it is that you need to get the score that you want. You don't know, and you're 3 weeks out from the test. You do need to set aside time each day to study, or most days, particularly on the weekend as well. Watch the videos, because there's a bunch of YouTube videos that are available that have been done that will explain how to score well in each of the tasks in the test. There are now 22 tasks in the test. 7 speaking, 5 reading, 8 listening, and 2 writing. Yep. And you have to learn a method for each of them by studying the method either from the video, not either, from the videos, from the live classes, from the group classes, from the tutorials. So what I suggest you do is to write down the 22 tasks, 7 speaking, 5 reading, 8 listening, 2 writing, and go through and learn the method from the videos. Yep. And then attend the live classes for practice. Do practice and get feedback. So the more time not the more time, but the more efficient, you have to become familiar with the whole test. I recommend you do a mock test. You won't be successful on test day if you're not prepared. If you are prepared, you will be successful on test day. There are 2 new sections in the PTE. So in speaking, there is describe image, retell lecture, answer short question, repeat sentence, summarize spoken text, and actually, someone I've spoken to is the listing one, and the two new ones are summarize, group response, and group situation. So the two new ones are ones that you have to learn by watching the videos from the platform as well. So there are 7 speaking tasks, 5 of the old ones, 2 new ones. What will also happen is there's a human element involved in the marking of the longer tasks to make sure people aren't just repeating information they've memorized, but rather they're using a knowledge based on vocabulary and grammar and a structure in response to each of the prompts. The cost of the classes are on the website. It's a great question. I'm not sure what they are off the top of my head. The group class is $12, I believe. 12, is that US dollars? Yeah. Please go onto the website because you will all have different needs. And also, what I recommend you do is use our student support platform as well. So hello@e2language.com is incredibly useful to have your questions answered, particularly about costs of packages. Yeah. About scheduling, how do I access material, how long will I have packages for, what kind of material will I be allowed to use. The other thing, once you're in, is to work out what is available to you. There are videos on the platform which will give you the information you need. There are recorded classes of the live classes which happen during the week. If you attend the live classes, you can participate in the live class, or you watch the recording. Group classes, tutorials, and also assessment on your writing and on your speaking. It's a great question to ask, what does it cost? What you will find is for E2 language, what you pay will give you the results that you need. It's not expensive because you will find you'll spend less time learning and you'll get the results you want. So that will be the payback for your investment. So I really recommend, I've worked for E2 language for nearly 10 years now. We've got 2.5 million students have gone through the system. Students from all around the world, which you saw earlier on, all the time. So in the class that was on last night, there are 60 people in the class, in the live class, in the test skills class on Monday, and I would suggest they are from 50 different, 50 to 55 different locations around the globe. And they are studying at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You've got a bunch of people to work with who will support you and clap you through as well. You are not alone in this. You've got the teachers, you've got the support staff who are fantastic, and you've got each other as a group to help you through the program as well. Any other questions? Yep, please feel free to write to support, find out, have your questions answered, work out what is available for you for the cost, which I really do believe is more than worth it, because it will get you the result that you need in order to get your visa or your student application in, or your permanent residency status confirmed. Your ability to travel will be recognized. And we know how vulnerable everybody is at the moment in terms of migration, in terms of the ability to travel and to establish residency. So in order to get the highest grade you can, you spend the time getting the highest grade you can. And the logic is to aim for 90. So if you need 50, aim for 90. If you need 75, 79, aim for 90. And please use the resources. So don't invest in the program and then not use the resources to get the results. If you read the feedback from other students who've taken the courses, you'll find that they achieve what it is they set out to do in a relatively short space of time. So 3 weeks is not unrealistic. Yeah, it is possible. Put in the time, turn up, practice, learn the method, practice the method, get feedback, familiarity in practice, and make sure that you're being corrected or achieving corrections because you're on the growth path all the way through. Now, if there are no more questions for now, because there are always questions, please bring the questions to the live classes. Yep, and I look forward to seeing you. I see people on a Monday night. I love taking that class where we talk people through strategies for test success. There are grammar classes during the week. There's pronunciation classes during the week as well. And there are live classes for all the tasks the 22 tasks that you will encounter in the PTE test. All good? Okay, always give each other the thumbs up. Well done. Respect each other for the time that we're spending together in order to progress and get on and do the interesting things in life. Okay. Congratulations for being here, for turning up and participating. Thanks for your time. And I look forward to seeing you in one of our classes. Yep, shortly.